So you are burnt out, overwhelmed, and you're just looking around wondering, like, isn't there more to life? I've done all the right things. I climbed the corporate ladder, but you want to reconnect with your deep purpose. It is possible, and here's how I did it, but it did require me to do some unconventional stuff. Here's the thing, you don't need to read another book or take another class or figure out what color your parachute is. You just need to change your environment, make space for yourself and start addressing those things you've been ignoring and stuffing down for a really long time. So here's how I did this. I went to Sedona, Arizona a couple years ago with one of my spiritual friends. Highly recommend having spiritual friends, coaches, mentors, because these are the people that are going to help you get out of that shell, get out of that rigid, stuck place that you're in, and start to experience that there's more to life. So I went with this friend and we were going to do a weekend in Sedona. And if you don't know, Sedona, Arizona is where they have these like really strong energy vortexes. And you can look that up if you want. It's just a place where the earth energy is just really strong and there's like a deeper connection to Gaia, to planet Earth. And it feels different there. Okay. So I went there a second time with a different friend and her heart rate dropped on her heart rate monitor just driving into the area. Okay. So it's a really powerful place, really strong energy. It's really great for reconnecting to yourself, for starting to get more in tune with you. Right. And it's when I put myself in that environment, when I took myself out of my day to day, I went on that trip and, I didn't have any like expectations specifically, but I had an intention. And my intention was that I wanted some clarity, I wanted some direction. I wanted to know how to move forward, how to reconnect with purpose, and how to start taking steps towards the life I wanted. So I went with that intention. We go with this friend, and, we're there for the weekend. We do some hiking, we visit some vortexes. And at one point, we're standing on top of the airport vortex, and my friend's just chilling. She's doing her own thing. Like nothing crazy is happening for her. And I just feel the energy hit me. And I feel this like strong wind blowing through my body, like blowing through my soul. And I hear this voice and I start writing it down because I have my journal with me and I just start writing it down and I'm like crying. And, I go through this whole intense spiritual experience, which, I didn't used to believe in the woo woo, in that stuff. But when it happens to you, sometimes even us logical, like analytical people, you can have these experiences and it's like, well, you can expand your mind or you can just stay stuck in denial. So I just expanded my mind and accepted this was happening. But I felt this really strong energy, this really strong voice coming to me. And it was like, you know who you are. And I would say the same to you. You already know who you are. You know who you're supposed to be. You know what you're supposed to be doing in this world. There's just something keeping you from doing it. Okay. And so I'm having this voice, I'm writing it down, and it's telling me my purpose. Like, you're a teacher, you're a leader, you're a guide, you're a mentor. And I was like, yes, I have always been these things. And it came to me that I wrote this down when I was like 13. And sometimes like our younger selves, they know, right? Like when you're young before the world has hardened you and made you like feel like you can't be the person you are, that you need to be somebody different. If you can tap into that younger you probably already knows. So I would encourage you to maybe think back to a time when you were a little more innocent, maybe a little more carefree, a little less overwhelmed, a little less beaten down by life. What did that person, that version of you, think that they were? What did they think was their purpose? And this may not be the whole thing, but it's a good starting point. So I would encourage that. But yeah, so I'm having this vision, I'm writing it down, and I'm just like crying. And I was like, wow, that was really powerful. But I'm a logical, analytical person, and maybe you're the same. Okay, so we leave the vortex, we get back in our car, we get back to like life, like normal life, right? Like we're down in the village, we're doing lunch, whatever. And I'm already starting to doubt. I'm going, okay, did this really happen? Am I making this up? Am I crazy? Right? And I spent the rest of that weekend like struggling with this. Like, was this a real experience? What does this mean for my life? Am I really supposed to follow this? Am I really supposed to become a coach? Because at the time I was like, I don't want to be a life coach. I don't want to be a life coach because, life coaches, I don't know, I feel like some people have a really bad reputation. And I just was like, I don't want to be one of them. And you might be feeling something similar, like you don't want to step into that because you have some preconceived idea or notion or idea of why you shouldn't do it. So we get through the whole weekend, and I had signed up for this timeshare presentation. And we go to the presentation. Well, I went, my friend didn't go, but they're like, you can get a free 2 night stay. And I'd never been to a timeshare presentation. So I was like, how bad can it be? So I go, and I'm sitting there, and the lead guy, he's like my salesperson, and he's doing this presentation on timeshares. He's like, here's all the places you can go, and like, look at our great hotels, and look at the amenities. And he's like selling vacations to this cross section of middle America, right? And I'm just sitting there like, okay. And then he gets to this point where he's telling his story. He's telling his personal story. He's like of just like how he moved to Sedona. Okay. So there's something spiritual here. He's just like, yeah, I was on this path. And then he looks right at me. And he looks right at me and he says, I was on one path before I moved here. And it wasn't a bad path. There was nothing wrong with it. But I realized if I wanted a different life, I had to switch paths. And I was like, ooh, that really hit me. And so here I am. I've been like struggling with this all weekend. Like, am I really supposed to go after this life coaching thing? Am I really supposed to, pursue this? And, was this thing in the vortex real, that I'm getting this voice and like this certainty that this is who I'm supposed to be and this is my real deep purpose? And then he said that, and I was like, yeah, he's totally right. You can sit in your safe, comfortable life doing the same things you've always done, doing the same things you're good at, that you've never had to like try too hard, that you're sure that you can do everything right. Like there's no challenge here, there's no struggle, right? you know it's an easy, comfortable life, but it doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't feel like it's your soul deep purpose. And so you can stay there. There's nothing wrong with that life. But if you want the life of freedom, and I'm like saying this to myself too, like if you want the life of freedom, you have to switch paths. You have to get on that different path. You have to make a conscious decision to move in a new direction, to do the right things to get you to that place, to get the support, to get the help, to overcome the mindsets, right? You've got to do all this stuff if you want to live that different life. And that just hit me really hard in that moment of like, wow, okay. So I either have to commit, like get on the boat or stay on the dock. You can't do both. You have to commit. So for me, that was my big moment. And that moment came because I changed my environment. Okay. I would not have had that breakthrough moment if I just stayed in my same day-to-day life, doing the same day-to-day things, going to work, going home, going to the gym, going out with friends, all that stuff. You have to change your environment if you want big breakthroughs. And if you want to get to your life of freedom faster, you have to level up faster. And so that's why I really believe in the power of changing your environment, in like putting yourself in a different space, even if it's just for a week or a weekend. I love retreats for this. I love Sedona. I love to take people to Sedona. We'll be doing one this fall. And when you do that, when you put yourself in that different space, you create possibility for yourself. You create the opportunity and the space for those breakthrough moments to happen. And I'm so glad I went to Sedona, and I'm so glad I went on that trip. And honestly, that was a big game changer for me, because I'd been on the fence about this, like, do I need to do this business? I need to, maybe I can just stay in my safe life. And it's scary, right? It's scary to do something new. But that's why I highly recommend not doing it alone. I love my biz besties. I love my fellow 9 to 5 rebels. I love seeing all of you in the community, in the 9 to 5 rebel community, just hanging out and getting to know each other, and celebrating our successes and our wins. And I love seeing people make that forward progress. And it's great when you have a support team. So change your environment and get a community of people going in the same direction. And those are going to really help you reconnect to that purpose, like start to shift onto that new path, and start to make those major breakthroughs and those big steps that you need to actually get to that life of freedom. So that was my experience in Sedona. I hope this was helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. And if you're ready to break free from the 9 to 5 grind and design your dream life, check out my Dream Life series where I share the exact 4 step process that changed everything for me. Until next time, stay bold and stay rebellious.